Hello, my name is Emily, as you may or may not know. And today, guys, we're gonna get a little steamy. We're gonna get a little vile and inappropriate and sin in ways that will surely give us a reservation in hell. I asked you guys for your hookup horror stories, and I did a Google form. I just posted on my Instagram and Twitter. I didn't know how many responses I was expecting. Hundreds of responses. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go through them all. However, we're gonna try our darndest to get through at least like 30. All right, I need to put my hair up for this debauchery. A guy, a longtime romantic interest of mine, had invited me to his apartment for dinner, and the moment I walked inside, he told me he had one rule every girl he had over was required to follow. Okay, ew, who are you, the cops? Before I could say anything, he told me that in order to continue the date, I had to refer to him as Grandpa Gus. He was 20 at the time and his real name was Anthony. If I failed to refer to him as such, the date would end. All of this to say, the date ended rather quickly. Like, what? Hello? Me bringing a woman back to my apartment, which, first of all, imagine that. But me bringing a woman back to my apartment and being like, I have one rule here. You have to call me Sister Lucinda. Meanwhile, my name is Emily. Who is Grandpa Gus? Who is Sister Lucinda? The world may never know. Imagine having to call someone Grandpa Gus during coitus. During coitus, intercourse, you have to call someone Grandpa Gus. Like, he's like, the only way I can finish is if you call me Grandpa Gus. This guy asked to roleplay and she's like, oh, okay, like, what do you want to do? Like, teacher student? Kind of problematic, but do you want to do that or something? And he's like, no, I want to roleplay as Grandpa Gus. She's like, who is that? He's like, I don't know. Straight male 24, a straight male viewer. Applause, applause, applause. That's what straight men need. More applause and praise. My viewership is 70-30 men to women, and out of the men, I do assume that a lot of them are not straight. So, straight male 24 viewer, I see you, I hear you, I cherish you. This was about 6 months ago. A bi girl I had been linking up with for a few weeks asked if I wanted to try a third with her and one of her friends. Their name was Avery. I was really excited and didn't bother asking what she looked like or anything. Being so excited to have a threesome that you just don't ask any questions. A couple from across the bar just makes eye contact you and you just stand right up. Yes, I'll be the third! I don't need to know any details, but I will be the third. I plead the third. Spread 'em. Met up at her place that evening and found her drinking and hanging out with some other dude. I was pretty confused at first. I knew she was seeing other people, but we had plans tonight, so this was a little odd. And then it clicked. Avery was a guy. Wait, I'm screaming at you walking in and being like, I thought we were having a threesome tonight. Who's this guy? What a curveball. I'll spare you the details, but after a few drinks and a bit of contemplating, I ended up staying and letting the night unfold. Certainly not what I expected, and I made it clear that I was straight and only comfortable with X, Y, and Z, and they were very respectful of my boundaries. And we love to hear that. I found out later that the two of them planned this out knowing I'd assume Avery was a girl and thought it would be funny. And I gotta respect the hustle. The hustle. You know, we're all hustling for that threesome. We all gotta hustle down the court for that menage a trois. In basketball, when they call it a three-pointer, it's in reference to a threesome. Every time you get a three-pointer in basketball, you have a threesome in the locker rooms afterward. That's just what I heard. I don't know much about basketball. I only played it in middle school. And we weren't doing that in middle school. Honestly, a super chill and down-to-earth guy, and I still talk to him every once in a while, exchange Instagram reels, and joke about this night. A wild and fun evening, but this was by far the most awkward sexual experience of my life. 10/10 would not see it coming. Wow, well, I'm glad that it ended up being a fun night. Not entirely sure how I feel about them plotting against you. Them, you know, having secret meetings down in the laboratory, this threesome laboratory, being like, so how exactly do we get this guy into bed with us? You have a gender-neutral name. Could utilize that. Okay, I'm just realizing that these are really extremely explicit. I haven't read through any of these at all. Like, I'm reading them for the first time on camera. A lot of these, I don't know if I can say. I maybe should have asked for it to be a little more tame. This girl and I matched on an app and we met up / hooked up the same night. All good. That's how it goes sometimes. I told her I was going to a Harry Styles concert soon by myself. We talked about her coming with, and she actually bought a ticket so we could go together. Okay, wow. She drove us and then told me in the middle of LA traffic that she had taken mushrooms and she was high and panicking about reaching the venue. Oh, no, no, no. I would literally be like, girl, pull over, we are getting an Uber. I'm not being in the car with someone while you're driving around having hallucinations thinking that this is Mario Kart, swerving to avoid the blue shell. Because guess what? The blue shell, it comes for you whether you swerve or not. I was shocked and had also explained before we left that I don't drive in LA, so this was even more baffling. Thankfully, we got there okay. Okay, great. At the venue, we drank together a bit, but her behavior started to get more obnoxious and erratic. Thank God we were in different sections for the show because I had a great time alone. Me as fuck. I love being alone, and it's typically very great. When we met back up post-concert, she was so incredibly drunk that she was stumbling. She even hit the back of a security guard, clearly in no state to drive home. I was so mad, but I made her give me the keys and made her sober up before driving anywhere. We had to sit in the parking lot for hours after the show while she drank water and sobbed. Mind you, this is the second date. Lesbians within 45 minutes of knowing each other, already just sobbing in each other's arms. Literally sharing trauma and the appetizers haven't even gotten here yet. She kept wanting affection from me, but I refused. I was so pissed I got an Uber after she was sober enough to drive herself home. Oh, that sounds bad. That sounds bad. You know, I've been on the receiving end. I don't really drink, right? So I'm typically sober all the time. And a drunk girl was really heavily pursuing me. And I was like, what the fuck do you think I look like? I'm not gonna do anything with you. You're literally piss drunk. And I'm like stone clear sober, could drive into a donut hole or whatever the fuck that's called when you spin around. I guess a drunk person could do that too. They might do it better than me, honestly. I met a girl at a club and when we got home, she told me she wanted to... Oh, okay. Oh, am I gonna get demonetized? Okay. I mean, I guess none of this is a curse word. It's just kind of gross. Okay. I met a girl at the club, and when we got home, she told me she wanted to taste my wet grotto. She also had long nails, so I was in pain for a while, but younger me didn't say anything. Oh, God, not the wet grotto. Anything but the wet grotto. God forbid the wet grotto. Are you out of your gourd? Ooh, girl, I can't wait to get a glimpse of that cavernous lagoon. Wet grotto. Wet grotto. What is this? Like a freaking, like, Hansel and Gretel Grimm fairy tale? I've got to take a gallop down to the wet grotto. Meanwhile, you're referencing my Vagiana Grande. I would rather you say I want a sip of that Vagiana Grande than actually, maybe no, I wouldn't. Also, the long nails. Come on, you guys. You know, if you're gonna be engaging with a woman in that way, maybe don't cosplay as Edward Scissorhands. Like, maybe let's not do an X-Men roleplay where you're Wolverine. Because then when she reports back to her friends in the group chat about her hookup, there's only gonna be one report that's left to give, and that is, ouchie ouchie, my coochie coochie. Wow, remember the days of this channel when I would refuse to even cuss? And now here we are. As a woman, well, one of my worst hookups was in the middle of hooking up, Miss Girl vomited in my mouth due to having drank way too much and having a weak stomach. I swear to God, I almost died. Oh! Imagine the complete and utter horror of vomiting in someone else's mouth, them being like, oh, like, I have vomit in my mouth, them having to get up, naked, God forbid, spit the vomit out, and then them coming back, and then you both just looking at each other like, okay, so should I call the Uber, or do we just swish around some mouthwash and keep going? And then they have a second story where the other was getting way too wasted and ending up hooking up with two girls. Oh, great. Good for you. Not really registering who they are. The next morning, I wake up with a raging hangover. I just read ahead. Sorry. Next morning, I wake up with a raging hangover sandwiched between the two. Turns out they are two of my exes who were dating at the time. I turned into a ghost very quickly because I just had to get out of there as silently and quickly as possible. Oh my god, imagine how, I'm not judging you, but imagine how wasted you have to be to not register that you're hooking up with not one, but two of your exes. You're literally in a lesbiana ice cream sandwich, and you're the cream, baby, and you don't even recognize that these are your exes. That is so wild. One time, I was talking to two girls who, they happened to be exes with each other, and then the one girl, like, kind of confronted me about it and was like, hey, just want to let you know that I think you're, like, talking to my ex. And then at this point in my life, I was just, like, very willing to give up on everything. So I was like, okay, I'll just stop talking to both of you then. And then she was like, well, no, that's not what I wanted. For some reason you're watching this. I hope you're doing well. Sorry that I didn't try to be friends after, but I don't really need any more friends, so. She never brushed her teeth, so her breath smelled horrible, and she had black in her teeth. I, 20 at the time, she, her, brought a guy back to my dorm room. We started doing the do, and during the do, he told me he was actually a virgin. Unfortunately for me, my period started while we were having sex. I apologized, not sure why now, because hello, normal human bodies. Yeah, literally, like, sorry my uterine lining is shedding, as if that has anything to do with me. He told his entire fraternity I got my period. I later found out that he had a huge crush on my roommate, so he slept with me because he figured that I was the closest he would get to her. Ew, literally jail, no parole. You are a sick, sick man. Pervert! I, like, will never understand how people use sex as, like, a weapon, or not a weapon, but, they just want to get their rocks off so bad that they, I sound like a fucking, you know, these kids these days, these scallywags, they just want to get their rocks off so bad. But it's true. They really want to get their rocks off so bad that they don't care if they're, like, hurting anyone else's feelings. It's like, sorry, ever heard of masturbation? Like, you can literally just do that. Like, you don't have to, like, get sexual pleasure. You can get sexual pleasure without hurting people's feelings. It's called your right hand. Ever heard of it? Met this guy on a dating site and we start talking. We're initially just planning on a hookup because we both have some very similar kinks. Okay, great. But he pushes and asks for a short date first to get to know me a bit better, and I'm like, I have nothing better to do, so I guess. Yeah, definitely the reaction I want when I ask someone on a date. Yeah, I guess I got shit else to do. I show up to the date and it's, like, immediately clear that he has never been with a trans guy before because he starts making comments like, I thought your voice would be higher and I didn't notice that you had stubble in your profile picture. The date was okay, I guess. We go to his place for the actual hookup and it was so terrible I couldn't even get through the foreplay because he just kept making comments about my body hair and top surgery scars. I fully think he was expecting a twink femboy and just wasn't prepared for an actual trans guy going through the awkward stages of testosterone therapy. Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. If I was going on a date with someone, a first date with someone, and I wouldn't be saying, like, you look really different from your pictures, or your voice doesn't sound like what I thought it would. You know, I'm sure I've gone out on a date with someone and they've probably thought in their head, this bitch is speaking like a news reporter. Because apparently I have a news reporter, apparently I have a news reporter voice. And literally every single comment, okay, I'm speaking in hyperbole, but a lot of comments are always talking about, oh, why I decided to start eating in the middle of my sentence, I don't know. I get so many comments that are like, oh, you sound like a news reporter. Why are you talking like a news reporter? I can't answer that question. Makeout game was so bad, I was genuinely convinced I was asexual. No, oh my god. It's so uncomfortable to be kissing somebody who you guys are just not on the same wavelength, because there was this time that I was, you know, kissing this girl and it was just so, our styles was just, it was like heavy metal and dream pop. Like, it just was not matching up whatsoever, no overlap, and it was a very, it's like one of those times where it's like afterwards you kind of feel bad about yourself after. Like, you're like, have you guys ever like had a hookup or slept with someone and then you just feel bad after? Just me? Okay. And I don't mean feel bad and of like, oh, I wish I could have done a better job, you know? I didn't really give it my all, but bad in the way of like dirty. I think it's like mostly women know what I'm talking about, which is interesting because you would think that I would maybe only feel that way if I was having sex with men, because men, I'm not even gonna get into this. I think women, you know what I mean, how sometimes you feel guilty after or something like that. I don't even know. I'm not even religious. I don't even know. One time a guy had me over and told me that we're all good to go because he read his Bible before I came over. I cannot. Hey girl, are you all ready to rock, paper, scissors? I just finished listening to my sermon, so we should be all good to go. Then we watched anime for an hour in silence. I made one joke about the Bible and he almost started crying, like he truly was gonna cry from my joke. Then we get to the bedroom and he proceeds to tell me that his 47-year-old aunt was sleeping in the room next to us. This man is 25 and presumably lived alone, so we must be quiet. Here's the best part. 2 pumps and I kid you not, this man finished. Not 2 Pump Jones, Mr. 2 Pump Jones over here. Double trouble. And you know what the trouble is? Premature ejaculation. I dressed so quickly and made him give me $50 in cash for a plan B. Okay. Oh, right. See, I'm so gay that I forget that pregnancy scares are a thing. God, that must suck. Told him straight to his face when I walked out the door that this was the weirdest hookup experience I've ever had. Yeah, definitely something I want to hear from all the women I've ever been with. We finish and then we're laying there in bed and she's just like, that was really strange. I walk her down and I say, thanks for coming over, I had a great time. And she says, this was peculiar for me. This was a Tinder date, never again. He brought me back to his apartment that he shared with his roommate. Luckily, he wasn't home. Hallelujah! One thing led to another and we are in bed and his roommate gets home and starts watching very loud hentai not knowing that we're home. Not hentai on the loudspeaker. Not hentai holding up the boombox outside of your house blasting hentai. The guy says he's gonna go out to tell him to turn it off because he has someone over. I somehow end up falling asleep and I wake up to strange grunting outside the guy's room. He's still not back in bed, so I go out to investigate the sounds and I see the guy I came home with and his roommate baiting the master on the couch to my little pony. Oh! Traumatized, I took my clothes and left the apartment. He then texted me the next day apologizing, asking if to plan something else. I didn't respond. Oh my God. Not you waking up to, you know how people say that nature's best alarm clock is just the sun creeping in through the window and that naturally wakes you up? Nature's best alarm clock. 2 guys grunting in the living room like they're working out, bench pressing 300 pounds, when meanwhile they're watching My Little Pony. I'm fearful and I hope that this is a lie. I hope that you made this up so that you could be in the video and that you just lied to me. Why can't you just be normal and watch like, who's a porn star? I don't know, a porn star. I wouldn't know the name of any of that. I've never seen that before. Porn? What? I've literally never heard of that. You guys, I don't know. She'd just fall asleep every time in the worst moment and position possible. I have no idea how. She'd even start snoring really loud. Like, God, maybe I'm the problem here. That wasn't good for my self-esteem. That is so funny. Being in the middle of hunky-dory Doris and they start snoring. Like, I'm screaming. What, is my tongue made out of melatonin? Like, what's going on? This is short, but everything was fine until the guy was finishing and he groaned Geronimo. Not Geronimo. God forbid Geronimo. What? Oh, random, but comment down below. I was asking this to my friend. Would you rather be having X with somebody and when they finish they say, wait, what was it? When they finish, would you rather them say, yippee? Or would you rather them say, booyah? And it's gotta be like that. It has to be yippee with like the hands, or it's gotta be booyah. Booyah, booyah. Which one would you rather? I think I'd rather just be abstinent. Okay, this one is like really long, but because it's so long, it's intriguing me, so I'm gonna read it. Okay, so this is super embarrassing for a bunch of different reasons, but here it goes. I was on a date with this guy. First mistake because I'm a lesbian, but I was kind of closeted then. Okay, we love. I met him on Tinder and he seemed nice enough, so I was just like, screw it, what's the worst that could happen? We were supposed to meet at his place, and I had made it pretty clear that this was just going to be a hookup and nothing else. No Strings Attached starring Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman. So I came in and immediately I was like, okay, this is weird. His apartment was really messy and gross. Okay, I'm sorry, that's extremely disgusting, which I usually can overlook, but he had super weird posters all over his walls. He had a bunch of breakdancing and other forms of dancing posters, okay, but weirdest of all, I saw an OJ Simpson poster. Not that. So here's where this gets embarrassing for me because I still came in. I honestly don't know why. I was just like, okay, we're only gonna hook up, it's whatever. So he greeted me and he seemed okay and offered me a drink, so we kind of sat there awkwardly talking and drinking before I brought up the OJ poster. He said in these exact words, "Oh, is he bad? I just liked the vibes." That's like wearing a band t-shirt of a band who you don't listen to, but like 10,000 times worse. So I definitely should have left. I can't tell you why I didn't, but I didn't. Then he stood up and said, "Hey, you know that I'm like a really good dancer, right? I'm almost a professional." Oh, God forbid! Then he did, I swear to God, 20 straight minutes of breakdancing. It was kind of impressive, but also what the fuck? I just sat there and nodded along after I told him that I should go. He just kind of nodded like he knew why I was leaving. And as I left, he said, "Hey, if you want, I'll take down that orange juice poster," referring to the OJ poster. To this day, I honestly can't tell if this was like a prank show or if he was fucking with me or if he really was that clueless. Either way, it was terrible, but also kind of really funny. By the way, I love your content. You're literally my comfort person. Well, I hope that after that experience, you turned on my channel and watched some videos to comfort you, because that sounds like a very distressing experience. I honestly, okay, I can't tell what's worse. Someone playing guitar and singing for you, or someone doing that. Because the thing is that when someone pulls out their guitar and they start singing for you, they might, like, you might be forced to like make eye contact, and then you literally just have to be like, you know, but if they're breakdancing, I mean, their field of vision is going all over the place, you know what I mean? So you don't have to like hold any eye contact. He told me he still loved his ex in the middle of it and then proceeded to text them in front of me after we finished. Okay, update from my question from before. Would you rather have someone after they finish say, "Yippee!" or "Booyah," or "I'm still in love with Kelsey and I'm so sorry, but I need you to leave because I really miss her"? Kelsey is not the name of any of my exes, by the way. I just said a random name. I don't want people going to look for some woman named Kelsey who I've literally never even met. Okay, I'm gonna make this be the last one, and honestly, I'll probably have to do a part 2 because there are so many responses, but I was sleeping with a girl from my college, and in the middle of it, she farted, and I burst out laughing so hard that I pissed myself all over her and the bed. I got so ashamed that I started crying, and then she started laughing at me. The reception to her accommodation was closed after being... what? The reception to her accommodation was closed, so after comforting me, we slept in her piss-stained bed. I did not meet up with her again. Seeing her on campus makes my skin crawl. Not sleeping on the piss-stained bed! What? Anything but the piss-stained bed. I can't with that. I really can't. Okay, well, let's just end it on that one. Maybe to break the ice, you know what? I'm not just gonna be throwing you guys under the bus. Maybe I should tell a story. I wouldn't say that any of my hookup experiences have been like a horror story, you know. I'm not laying there thinking like, you know what this reminds me of? The Conjuring. If any of my family members are watching this, please stop everything you're doing, close the laptop, plug your ears, take yourself down into a bunker, and then maybe just like fast forward a minute or something. So this girl and I were hooking up, and this is so funny, I feel like I never talk about this type of stuff, but this girl and I were hooking up, and you know how there's some things that you like talk about beforehand, right? And you don't maybe just like do it. So we were, you know, whatever, and then all of a sudden, she slaps me across the face. I think she could tell by my reaction that I was a little, like, bewildered. Like, I was like, oh, where did that come from? Did I, wrong hole? Sorry. Like, I just didn't know what happened. But then I saw on her face, I was like, oh, she meant for it to be like, you know, like a sexy sort of thing. She's not mad at me. And I was like, I was just too new at all of this to recognize that she was trying to be sexy. And then her face was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, no, like, it's okay. But like, I just, and then it was like really awkward. I don't know if I should even say that or post that. But yeah, I'll say that as my story so that we can break the ice and I'm not just like airing you guys out. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Honestly, it was really funny. I'm sure I was funny, but your stories were very funny. I think that it's fun to do some stuff that's a little bit more like interactive, like I say hey, you say oh, hey, oh, you know, where I ask you guys a question and you're able to like participate in the video a little bit more. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 because we barely even scratched the surface. A lot of them I probably will not be able to verbalize because they are extremely inappropriate. And I tried to dull some of it down because yes, I'm an adult and I feel like my channel is definitely a lot different than it was, you know, when I was in college and worried about finding a nursing job. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing more videos that are, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Let me gather my thoughts. I feel like you guys have probably noticed, but I'm trying to be a little bit more truly myself and like unfiltered. I feel like before when I was doing YouTube, I was still very worried about like the professionality of it all because I was in school and, you know, I did have like an entire career outside of it. But now that I'm solely doing YouTube, I'm kind of just like, okay, now the real party begins. Now the real party begins. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you comment down below if you have comment, you know what? Forget about it. I think my brain is like fried right now. Thank you for watching today's video and until next time.